All right, checking out Amazon on the weekly chart. We have a secondary retracement drawn from the March 20 lows in here to the all-time highs, and we have a tertiary drawn from the all-time highs down here into the swing low that was at 270704 before that bounce up into the 3100 level this week. We also have earnings being reported and price now at 3180. And that puts price smack dab here, sitting on the point of control on the weekly chart that has been established through the consolidation from July 20 till present, except for the small breakdown that was occurring before earnings. And that puts resistance 1 at the secondary 23.6 and 23.66, and then resistance 2 at the tertiary 61.8 at 33.65.85. Supports are 3114, and then the secondary 38.2 at 29.52.90. And in the morning, whenever price opens, we can strike a shorter term retracement from these swing lows into wherever price opens to give us some shorter term levels. I think it's interesting to remember what this chart represents for from mid 2020 all the way through 10 Jan 22. Buyers and sellers disagreed on which direction price should go, and so it stagnated in a 200-point range. Then in January of 22, we get a material breakdown of support 29.22 or 29.52.91, marked by the 1, 2, 3, 4 support points there, as well as it being a 38.2%. And we see a flush into the 50 where there's very little volume. So there wasn't any demand down here to absorb. We get an immediate bounce up on a weekly, on a relief rally. And then when Facebook reports earnings, price drops immediately over 100 points. And now with earnings of Amazon coming out, price is back up into 31.80. The expected move was 230, so we're outside of expected range. And as previously stated, we're just kind of sandwiched in between a couple supports and resistances that are pretty major. Unless price opens or moves outside of 31.14 to the low side, it's going to be hard to create a short, and it's still going to be pretty difficult to create longs out of this, I would think also. A lot of people have been stuck Amazon for quite a bit of time. I mean, consider if you got long Amazon back in mid 20 and you saw a price break down, if it's returning to your break even, you're probably going to become a seller out of this support, this volume node right here. Um, but I mean, we'll have to see how price opens. But I would think that if we do see price reject down out of 31.14, it opens a short, and we can say hypothetically, for example, like those aren't the same thing. Let's say hypothetically that price opens at current 31. Well, here there's 3,200. So if we open at 3,200 and price breaks down 31.14.27, in the short term, the only thing that is in that level is the last day of action. So there's still almost nothing from 31.14 down into 30.14.63. So it opens up a short if we break below this level into this lower amount of volume, possibly down into the S2 at 29.52. But we'll have to see if that breakdown comes first. There's no real reason to try to front run a breakdown, especially on an expert day, especially on a big stock like this. But I do think it's very interesting how poorly it reacted and how poorly the market reacted to that Facebook beat or Facebook loss. But anyway, so 31.78 resistance 1, 32.66, resistance 2, 33.66, and then support 1, 3, 114, 30.14, 32.52, and then 28.90. 2897. If 2897 is lost and we come into gap fill into this major node, there's quite a bit of risk for this to continue breaking back down lower. I know I've been on that boat for quite some time, but the stock hasn't done anything to change my mind. Break back over 3367, and I'll get off of this bandwagon of, it's not even a bandwagon, it's a party of one, short down into 2400s. It's just nothing here, from 2700 to 3446. So the structure is really just still poor. And comparatively to the volume above price, um, there were no buyers in this range. We see price moving up into earnings, so we'll just have to see how it reacts out of that. But again, if you lose that short-term 61.8 at 28.97, potential to roll back down here into 2700 and then lower into this little node at the 2400 level at the 61.8 of the secondary. So that's Amazon. Can this break up? Can we move higher? Yeah, for sure. We just need to see 3367 reclaimed. That's and by reclaimed I mean we need to see price basing above it. We see the chop and congestion in here, so we'll probably need to see a week or two above 3367 to take it into all-time highs. And then above all-time highs is the longer-term 161.8 at 39.73, and then 44.31, assuming that we've marked the low of the cycle. So that is Amazon in a nutshell. It'll be very interesting to see how it opens tomorrow and how the market reacts to the open.